Let me see if you guys can everyone hear me? Hi, everyone for joining in. Is this Isabella?
Hi, yeah. Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Good. It's nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you too. I like your shirt.
Thanks. It's very appropriate, isn't it?
Yes. Is it afternoon over there? I understand.
I am in San Diego. Yeah. So it's actually still 9 in the morning for me.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah, it's nice and early. Yeah. How about you? Where are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm in Indonesia now. It's about 11 p.m. at night. And no, I mean, I have a YouTube channel called Only Plants. And I'm obsessed with houseplants, just like most of you who are tuning in today. Thank you all for
You
tuning in.
cannot tell it's 11 p.m. where you are. It looks like the same time. So if anybody is new here to Palmstreet, so we are a live shopping app where you can buy and sell plants and plant related products. It's mainly live stream like you're seeing right now. So you get to buy the plants directly on live. So you get to see the plant, like people will hold up plants to get to buy that exact plant. So there's kind of like guessing, especially when you're buying rare plants, you really don't know sometimes what kind of plant you're getting in the mail. Sometimes the pictures don't look exactly like what you think you're gonna get in the mail. And it's just kind of like a really great platform to connect with other people that love plants. So as if you've probably experienced, if you've been on Palm Street before, the app is a great community. People in the comments know each other. It's like a wonderful plant world inside of Palm Street. Tell us a little bit about like your plants and your journey and like what your YouTube channel consists of.
Okay, so to start off,
Yeah.
I was not a plant lover until maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I completely ignored plants growing up. And I was a fashion photographer, so I bought a Monstera. It's just a regular green Monstera as a prop. So it kind of just hung out in the studio, and it grew and grew and grew with like a lot of neglect somehow. And then one day I Googled up how to propagate it. And I thought, oh, you could just cut it and stick it in water. It'll grow, new shoots. And I did it wrong. I basically cut them at the petiole. And, from that mistake, I Googled, it just snowballed from there. I just realized the more you learn about plants, you can succeed and you can create life. So for me, my love for plants came about with propagation and with styling and just being around plants. It's amazing that for little effort, just a bit of research, we could actually multiply them. We could have them around our house. We can gift them to people we love. And there's so many diversity. So I became an obsession. I started to learn about how we can propagate different genus, different species of plants. So my obsession literally started with propagation. And then with the channel, I was a houseplant collector for about a year until COVID hits. So I shut down my studio during COVID because of the lockdowns. And I was like, what do I have to do? I have a lot of plants. And I love to film, and I had to learn editing, and I had to learn to present from zero, basically. And that just basically, it grew into what it is today. And I was not expecting the channel to grow. And it's just about learning and sharing what I've learned. And I'm grateful to have that audience.
Where can we find you? What is your YouTube channel? What is your handle? And tell the audience just like where we can learn more about you.
Sure. So my YouTube channel is called Only Plants, kind of like OnlyFans for plants as a play of word. It's pretty easy to remember.
Did that come about? Did you do that on purpose, or was it kind of an accident, or like?
It was on purpose. Because like I like the word of like root porn and all that. Like it's just a little bit like like a bit not. So it just came to me. The name came very naturally. It was kind of funny, and I'm a little bit funny as a person as well. So
yeah, very neat, very neat. Can you tell us about the plants on your wall? Do you know? I know it's such a tricky question. No one ever knows how many plants they have. It's like, who knows how many plants? That's literally an impossible question. But do you kind of know how many plants you have, and how long did it take you to build your wall and just your whole setup?
So this wall behind me, if you guys check out my latest video, I talk about the green wall a little bit. I kind of designed this setup myself. It's not perfect yet. But I mean, it's hard to say how long it took to set up because I moved into this house and I just started to, move things around in there. There's probably, I would say, 100 at least 100 plants here in different, there's aroids, there's ferns, and all kinds of plants. And this is Philodendron parasitivore. We've got anthuriums. It's ever changing as well, so it's hard to say. But I think green walls like this is a good way to add more space to your collection, because otherwise I would not have room for all these plants. So if you guys, I know most of you are growing plants on shelves, and I used to do that. I think eventually some of you are going to end up having to with this kind of setup.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What kind of plants are mostly on your wall? Like, what is your most expensive plant on your wall, maybe, or like your largest, your favorites?
My expensive plants will not go on this wall, because this wall is a little bit tricky. A lot of plants actually don't make it. So I'm trying to put only I propagate a lot, so a lot of my duplicates end up in this wall. But I would say the easiest and the best plant for my wall so far would be the Paraiso Verde, for many reasons. One, it's fast growing, it's not very fussy, it provides a nice pop of color. While a lot of plants struggle, this one has just been thriving, and it's kind of everywhere. I should probably start chopping some up because it's overtaking the wall a little bit. But that is one that I recommend. That is big starting out.
Someone just asked, do plants need more or less care if they're on a green wall?
Actually, it's not more or less, but it's different. It's very, very different. In my video, I explained that in a green wall like this, they're actually getting very low light, because if you disappear into the wall, like I'm doing now, and you look up, it's actually getting no light. There's too many leaves on top of me blocking.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea if you have a green wall to have a light coming from the front. I do have this. I don't know if you can see it. A bit of a light situation is I need to put something more permanent to give them a little bit more light to photosynthesize. But a lot of my plants have been reverted to green and I know a lot of you guys, there's two teams now. Some people that say variegation is not determined by light levels. I'm team B. I believe that light level is a huge determination to preserve variegation. But another topic for another day. But a lot of my plants have reverted in the green wall. And some of my expensive and difficult plants just don't make it here. The light is too low. So, watch my videos to see more updates and more tips about these kinds of green walls. But also you're more than welcome to set up your own type of green wall and share it with the community. I would love to learn more from you guys as well.
What inspired the green wall though? Like, why you just wanted to make a living wall, or did you just run out of space?
Well, a few reasons. One, I moved into this house. It's actually a tiny house, and I love it. I love living in a very constrained situation. So for those of you who have apartment, dwelling with plants, I absolutely love it, because you really have to make it work with a small space in it. So one, I moved to this small house, and the second thing is that I do need a background, because I do film almost on a daily, basis. So this sort of serves as as a background. And then I also need the space. I have way more plants that I can hold on my shelves. So this is one solution for that. So
can you tell us about your personal journey, how you got into plants, and how you came to build one of the best YouTube channels for plants and plant-related things in the community?
I started my first plant as more of a selfish reason, just to have a styling prop in my photo studio. And then from there, I learned to propagate it. And then, there's so much diversity to discover. Like whenever I pick up a new plant, like a begonia or a cacti or a succulent, I kind of Google it up a little bit. I figure out where they came from and how do I make them, thrive in my apartment. It's the same kind of feeling when I don't know, some of you are maybe like cats or dog owners. You bring a pet home and you watch them just like explore the environment, explore the house, where do they get water. It's sort of like that with me, but for plants. So when I bring a new plant home, I'm like, will it be happy? Where would it be happy? How do I make it happy? It's sort of a very giving type of, a nurturing type of behavior that I don't know. I guess not everyone has it, but apparently I do have it, and that kind of just went to my plans. So with the channel as well, I just started it. I learned, video. I learned editing, and I'm still nervous. By the way, I'm very nervous now speaking live with everyone. I have a public speech phobia, or fear of public speech, but I'm slowly overcoming that. As I present every day. So it's been a wonderful journey, and of course, by the way, I'm looking at the list of people coming in. I see some familiar names. So thank you for standing by the channel, and I'm super grateful that people have come along with me on my journey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's no, you're doing. I mean, no one could tell like you have any sort of like speech fears or anything.
yeah.
Like your YouTube channel, this live, it's all very impressive and it's
Thank
great.
you.
And I think the community really has a great time watching your YouTube channel and learning from it. And your videos are such high quality, and it's really, really awesome to see. So I think as a whole community, we really enjoy your content, and you can see that people are really excited, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm so excited to see you on Palm Street. You've taught me so much."
Yeah.
Um, and they're just saying they love your content. So it's definitely making an impact. And what is something you really hope to make with your YouTube channel? Do you hope to like reach people and teach them about plants, or like make new people who are never experienced house care and plant care before? What's
Oh
something
yes.
that's like your goal for your YouTube channel?
So basically, I went down this rabbit hole pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody taught me, all these things that I've learned. So in a way, I'm sharing, what I'm learning, and I hope that a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have taken this knowledge and grown their collection, and hopefully new plant lovers can also come in and learn about all these wonderful ways that we can care for plants, and also to discover a lot of new species. I do a lot of tours in botanical gardens and plant shows, and I know that a lot of the rare plants, including in Palmstreet, a lot of the plants tend to be aeroids. Although I do want to, oftentimes I want to push people to try different things. Try Hoyas, try
Yeah.
begonias and all that stuff. And because aeroids, I mean, they're hot and trending now, but it may not be forever. There's so much. The world is so big, and there's so much to
Right.
discover. And I'm excited to discover new things and share it, and hopefully other people will
Yeah.
find something interesting out of these diversity.
What's a plant that or a species recently that you've seen that's grown popularity, or maybe you wish it would grow popularity because you really like them, but you haven't seen them as much?
I would say the one plant that eludes me that I came across at two plant shows. If you watch my like the last few months, once in Indonesia and once in Thailand, I held a giant pot of Alocasia cuprea variegated, and I was just like, I held it in my hand. It's so beautiful. It was so charming. It was so otherworldly. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the cuprea. Even when we buy them, they're kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
But they get huge. They get monster sized. So I'm a little bit obsessed with that plant right now. I haven't gotten one. I don't know why I have not gotten one, but uh,
It's on your
yeah,
list.
I might pick it up. But they're in Indonesia. They're kind of rare and expensive. In
Mhm.
Thailand, I know that they're a little bit more available, but they are still a little bit unattainable, I would say.
Yeah,
But with plants, we give them time, and as they
right.
multiply, more of
There.
us.
Yeah. I've always seen on social media these like huge, huge plants, and like
Yeah,
you would never expect some of these plants to grow so large, and you're always
yeah.
just, oh my gosh, like how do I get such large plants? Do you have any plants that are like reached like such great like heights
Um,
and big plants?
yes, but I chopped it up recently. It's in my
Oh.
shorts. If you look at my YouTube shorts, there's
Mhm.
I think a philodendron. Which one was it? McDowell. It got really, really big, so I
Yeah,
just chopped it up, and I have like 8 or 9 of them everywhere now. But they've reverted to a junior size. And the thing with me is that I like seeing plants as they get big outside in other people's. I visit a lot of collectors, and I'm like,
yeah,
whoa. But then in my own house, again, I live in a tiny house. So imagine if I have like this is pretty. It's not that big, but this is a king of spades, an
hmm,
Anthurium, and it can get much much bigger. It's like, but imagine if this large leaf is like on my wall, it's taking up all this space. Then, like a lot of it's just not enough area for my other plants to grow. So I think for me, quantity more than quality.
that's good. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's a good tip. Yeah, I mean the more plants you have, the more you learn, and
yeah.
yeah,
But I
absolutely.
love seeing them reach a full potential when I'm like outside or on Instagram and things like
Right.
that.
Great. I've even seen like some people style plants that are like even small plants can really be really magnificent if you just style them correctly and with the
Yeah.
right pot. I think it
Yeah.
just takes some time, some patience, and some learning for sure.
Yeah.
There's some really great comments that are coming in that someone said, I haven't seen your YouTube channel, but I'm glad Palmstreet sent me an email because I'm excited to start watching. So that's really
Oh,
exciting.
nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Blue commented, recently found your YouTube channel and it's so helpful. And some people can't imagine what a variegated cupria looks like. So that I imagine. Did you film it on your YouTube channel? Is it
Yes.
you're holding it?
If you
Perfect.
scroll through my past videos, the one of the in Thailand, I filmed a rare plant show in Thailand. That should be there. Hey, by the way, you guys, if you are into rare plants, do check out my rare plant trade shows because they are insane. They're like 1 or 2 years ahead of the US. So whatever is coming or being discovered in Thailand or even the US or South American sellers, they would bring their rarest stuff to Thailand. So I'm going, by the way, in June, the middle of June. I don't know if I can figure out a live situation at the time, but I would love to show you guys. And I usually go one day before the show begins. I have access to it. And that's when all the buyers unbox everything and they buy from each other. So all these rare plants, you don't get to see during the opening days. So those are some of the best time to look around to see what's going to happen in a year or two.
Yeah,
So,
I imagine these shows are just like huge and with plants you probably have dreamt about.
yes.
Yeah. Some of the people were saying, those plants give me so much FOMO. That would be so cool to see. OMG. Yeah. So yeah, the international shows are definitely piquing a lot of interest here.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question we have is that so live shopping is kind of a new fancy thing here in the US. We're still kind of like learning more about it, getting used to it. And it's a huge profitable industry in Asia already. So, what is kind of like the future of e-commerce in your eyes, and what does it look like, and how would plant shopping fit into like this new normal?
Okay. So, oh man, I have so much to say about this. So bear with me. First of all, I'm really surprised that Palmstreet exists because in Asia we don't really have a dedicated app for like plant life selling. So this is like really amazing. You guys have like a community, and I've tuned into some of your live feeds, and it's just entertaining. I can't buy anything because I live in Indonesia, but it's entertaining to watch. And then you got all this shopping going on, so it's amazing. But
Yeah.
in terms of like how this live selling culture happened. I might go back a little bit. I lived in the United States between 1999 to 2009, and I saw the rise of like the first iPhone was built at the time. Amazon also came. So I witnessed the rise of social media, e-commerce, and smartphones. And then I moved to China in 2009, and at the time they also just started out with like what do you call it, Taobao and Douyin, and like their own social media, their own like smartphones. And I saw, the rise of how they took the technology from the US and they turned it into something. They turned to social commerce. So people are, buying and selling things in the marketplace that's very unique in China. And then came COVID when we were all locked down.
Right.
All of Asia became like social. We call it social commerce, but I don't know if you guys call it. They call live selling as well. Everyone was like buying and selling and trading. It's such an insatiable demand for, to trade. So in Asia, live selling became insane, especially in the plant world. However, we were also trading using existing platforms. Like we were using TikTok, we were using like Instagram to do live selling. So in a way, you guys are so fortunate to have a platform like built entirely, the ecosystem for plants, because the terms of payments, the shipping and everything is completely tailored towards plants. So this is really amazing, and I'm excited to see the evolution of Palmstreet and also live selling in Asia, because it is the new way to shop. And also want to mention the benefits of buying in a lifestyle situation. In the past, before COVID, when I was just starting to collect plants, I started to kind of look into the rare plants. I looked around for my variegated monstera, and at the time it was still very rare. the supply and demand was controlled by a small group of people, the sellers or the growers, and they controlled the price, and it was a bit sketchy at the time. And with a system like live selling now, all transactions are transparent. We can see exactly how much they're worth, how much people are willing to pay them for, and now collectors can also sell their plants. So it has a wider reach, and the prices become stabilized very quickly. So you guys, especially if you're new in the plant world, be thankful, because back then, before COVID, before all this, it was very difficult to even find a variegated Monstera, let alone like all these other varieties that we're enjoying now. So, this is amazing. And one last thing I'm going to say about live selling. About 2 months ago, I visited China. It was a large nursery full of like beautiful like anthuriums. All of them were just so well grown. There's so many varieties to choose from. And then I asked the people there, they primarily sell through live selling. I was like, well, you have this beautiful nursery, it's well organized. Why don't you just have people come over and just, buy direct? And they said they do. In fact, they have people come over, but whenever they arrive the nursery, everyone's just so overwhelmed. They just like look around and there's just so much, it's just overwhelming. So they said that the best way to reach out to customers is when they have already picked out the plants for the customers. Oh, like this is ready and we have them in stock and this is a decent price. This is what we're offering for the live sale, and the customer can all focus in on this one plant instead of like going everywhere and like and just being too overwhelmed. So in a way, live selling is pretty good, I think, for both the consumer and also for the seller itself. So that's my 2 cents on live selling.
No, that's a great way to put it. We absolutely agree. It's like a virtual plant store, or like a marketplace that on farmers market where you can walk down the street and you find exactly what you need. It's a great platform. We're really excited to bring Palmstreet to everybody.
Yeah.
What is something when you're watching a live stream, what is something that really makes you stay and gets you engaged in a live stream? Because when I'm watching, I love watching people bring out species that maybe I've never even heard of, or they play a game or some giveaways. What are the type of live streams you like to watch?
I like the ones where they just overshare about the plant. Because I'm obsessed with the science of plants, especially if the seller is knowledgeable about where this came from, and maybe they're a little bit about their experience caring for these plants, like do's and don'ts. I kind of like that when they do that. So
yeah.
And of course, when people goof around a bit, that's also quite cute.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone said, "I love that Palmstreet has made so many different genus and species easily accessible for everybody."
Yeah.
Someone asked a totally different question, but we can. I'm also curious to hear your opinion. You had a video where you toured a massive aglaonema farm, and it made me obsessed with aglaonemas.
Nice.
Why do you think they aren't more popular?
I think a lot of people kill aglaonemas, first of all, because of misunderstanding of care. First of all, if you look in they're big in Asia, don't get me wrong, in Thailand, in Indonesia, a lot of like our moms and our aunts, they love aglaonema. A lot of households have aglaonemas. But in the US, if you Google about their care, they always say that aglaonemas are low light plants, and that is not true. Aglaonemas need a lot of light, not direct light, but they need a lot of light. So, they are very prone to rot as well. So they they're very drought resistant plants. They love a little bit on the dry side. So one of the reasons is that there's a misunderstanding of care. And I think maybe a lot of people have tried and failed. Number two, we do have a lot of really colorful aglaonemas here in Indonesia, like, bright pink, a lot of new hybrid varieties. Unfortunately, from what I heard, they don't ship very well to, over long distances. So a lot of them don't make it overseas. So if anyone's tuning into this, aglaonemas can be grown by seed very well. They are also highly tissue cultured, especially in China. So maybe someone can do maybe a tissue culture situation in the US and and distribute it in the US, because it'll be easier to ship when it's so close. So that's definitely one thing that I think is an opportunity that maybe there's something like that already. I don't know, but it's opportunity.
Good opportunity for sure. I have another really good question. Someone said, "Do you find that plant collectors in Asia and plant collectors in the US are looking for the same type of plants?"
No, they're looking at entirely different plants.
Really?
Even within Asia, yeah, within Asia itself, like Indonesia and Thailand, maybe are a little bit similar. But if you
Mhm.
go to like Japan, but I have videos in Japan, in Taiwan, and in China as well. Feel free to check those out. And I visited some of the collectors there. And
Mhm.
in Singapore, slightly different, I would say. Like Japan likes more unique plants because their apartments are so small. So they like caudiciforms, they like platypus, things with interesting forms, and very different. The US obviously have very different sensibilities as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Someone wanted to know, what do you think is going to be the next big plant?
Oh, the next big plant. Oh. I mean, I would say that variegated alocasias are coming in hot.
Yeah.
More varieties than you can dream of. Like even within one alocasia, you could have like a yellow variegated, a white variegated, and sometimes even
Hmm.
like interesting orange or pink mutations on them. They mutate so much. But at the same time, alocasias, they do grow very fast. They multiply a bit fast. So if the trend does come, it will usually fall quite fast as well. Here's the thing with plant trends: the faster it hits you, the faster it will fall. So I would say uh, right now, maybe I mean Ethereum is probably reaching its peak at some point, but it had a nice and steady rise, so it will have a nice and steady fall as well. So we'll enjoy Ethereums for a while more, I
For
think.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think they are hitting a great peak right now in the US. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm. Someone here watches your videos. I think her name is Kim, and she said, "This reminds me. I think my favorite video of yours is when you toured the tissue culture nursery about a year or
Mhm.
two ago.
Yes.
They really enjoy that." Okay. Tissue culture is a really great thing here in the US, and it's definitely growing popularity. I
Oh
think
yeah,
people,
it is.
their trial and error for things. I think, especially with the Tycon becoming a huge tissue culture plant, really transformed the plant world, especially during COVID when people really got into rare plants.
Yeah.
I think that was the big. I think that was the big plant boom during COVID era. So, what are your favorite plants today and why? I know we talked about big plants that you think are going to be next, but what if some are your personal favorites? They can be some of your first plants,
Mhm.
and or some plants that you just got recently.
Well, again, right now, my one of my big. I started with monsteras, and I still love them
Mhm.
because they're so easy to care for. And again, in my shows, I've seen so many interesting variegated and interesting mutations. Like the tricolor Thai constellations. I don't know if you guys have heard. Maybe you guys have some on the
Mhm.
platform already. But they were so rare. 1 year ago, I think they said there was only three that were discovered. By now, hopefully, there's more. But I would really love to get my hands on some. Because I have a lot of variegated monsteras around my collection, but those are like the pre-COVID monsteras. Your regular Thai constellations, your white, your yellow variegated, and now you have your mint and all that. I would love to
Yeah.
collect them because they really are something that thrives and they propagate easily.
Hmm.
And I would say again, I would love to get my hands on the variegated allocations. I have some. They're quite easy to care for in my climate, and they put out babies like crazy, and
Right.
they're very stress free. So, yeah,
Stress free. That's an interesting. I've heard mixed opinions. Some people think
really.
applications are stressful.
Okay, let me give a quick care tip then while we are here. Number one, they need
Mhm.
they need good airflow around them.
Okay.
Number two, very bright, especially the variegated, they do revert easily to green if you don't give it enough light. So something very bright,
Yeah.
very very chunky potting media, almost epiphytic, and water it every day. That's my literally my I just set
Really?
it and forget it. And just thrive here.
Set it and
So,
forget it. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, I see some people in the comments that allocations don't like me.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the
It's a
potting media usually.
Is it
Yeah.
really? Okay. Very good
Yeah,
tip. Yeah.
nothing dense, nothing that holds too much water. They
Yeah.
like to, but they don't like to dry out completely either. So that's why I say frequent watering, but
Yeah.
uh, or semi hydro, they love it. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Very nice. I feel the same. I really like begonias, and I think a lot of people can struggle with them.
oh
Even
yeah,
though I also feel like they're not the hardest, but they do like to stay relatively moist.
yeah. So everyone has a certain plant that really like is a match for them.
Yeah, right. And then others that are not a match. You were never meant to be together. But I think with some time and care, I think everybody can kind of learn
Yeah.
hopefully every species out there. Do you struggle with any plants? I have to know. We have to know. Any
I
plants that grow?
do. I do actually. A lot. I don't even know where to begin. I struggle with plants that hate water. Aglaonemas actually struggle with it, despite me giving the advice that they need to dry out. But because I'm such a heavy-handed waterer, they
Oh,
rot all the time. So I plants that hate water are my
mm,
enemies. Like I have to water my plants every day. That's the kind of plant
that's
paranoia.
so funny. So like cactus and succulents aren't really your friends.
Not my thing, yeah. But then they have, I mean, amending their potting media. So I use
Yeah.
very gradient terracotta pots. They are okay
Right,
with
right, absolutely.
not
And
all of
they
them.
yeah, they don't really love plants very much, but I think they even small succulents and cactus, they when they're styled so well, they look so gorgeous. And I think you can just leave them and like let them
Yeah.
dry almost like dry out. They really aren't water loving plants. So
Oh yeah.
not for the
Yeah.
heavy water. Absolutely. Some of the comments said alocasias are not very forgiving. That's funny. I love Scindapsus. I know you love Scindapsus. Looking for propagation. The best media for Scindapsus propagation. Any tips?
Water for sure. It's
Mm,
almost 100% success rate in water.
yeah.
But
Very.
for me, I propagated so I wish I could bring you upstairs in my balcony. I have so much variegated skin that's what's going on that I just basically stuck them and just put it in moss and 90% of them took. But
Yeah.
water if you're a beginner, for sure.
Very, very fair.
Yeah.
Someone asked a funny question. How do you travel so much and when you have to water your plants?
So I have someone come in. I have a caretaker that takes care of my plants and the house, the tiny house. He comes in like a few hours a day,
Very
just
nice.
hoses everything down. Yeah.
Very funny, very funny. Oh, I have a really good question. Someone asked, what is the best video of yours to
Yeah.
watch if they're just finding you?
Oh my gosh, this is from Huston. This I know you. That's a tough one. Actually, I made a video and not many people watched it. It's I think it's plant care for people who don't care about plants. That one might be a good
Mhm.
one. Because I know that some of us buy plants for our, for friends and colleagues and all that, and they only want to spend 15 minutes on a video that kind of compiles everything within a short period of time. That might be a good one for a total beginner to
A
watch.
total beginner.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very informative videos, very great content. Everybody on here, go subscribe right now to Sean's YouTube channel. Not right
Thank
now.
you.
I mean, like after the live's over, go subscribe then. Stay now and watch. So if you're not familiar though with Sean's videos, he's like the biggest and he like visits and like travels and shows off the biggest and best growers, nurseries, greenhouses, exhibits in the world. And it's a really awesome YouTube channel. We as
Thank
an
you.
app, we see what sells today, and you probably however are aware of trends that we might not be aware of, like that
Mhm.
are 1 or 2 years ahead of us. So what are like trendy plants that are maybe we should keep an eye out? I know we asked you what's the next big plant, but what
Yeah.
are some like planty trends?
Here's one thing. Again, this is targeting the US market specifically. I believe most
Mhm.
of you are from the US.
Yeah.
Uh, Platytheriums are actually really
Mm.
big right now in Asia. And I'm surprised that US has not taken on platytheriums. Is it big over there now? I don't see.
We actually Palmstreet was recently at PlantCon, and there was a really great booth that showed off Platyceriums, and I think
Yeah.
they are really growing in popularity, and we're seeing them, styled better. I think they
Mhm.
struggle a little bit indoors because people will put them on a wall, maybe kind of far from like a window,
Yeah.
or like sometimes you also have to like take them down to water
Yeah.
them, and I think
It-
people are still getting used to like ferns and platyceriums kind of as like more of a house plant.
yeah.
We here in San Diego though they grow really well outdoors. Same kind of
Oh,
in
yeah.
Florida. The weather permits them to grow on trees and well outdoors. But I think we are definitely seeing a shift for seeing them more indoors and kind of following like Asian trends where they're like styled really beautifully.
Yeah. I mean, we are seeing a lot of varieties, a lot of hybrids, and a lot of mutations, and even some variegated ones coming in the market.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
if I open in my Instagram feed for like Taiwan, Indonesia, even Japan, a lot of the
Mhm.
competition now are moved to platyserum, where before it used to be like orchids and of course
Yeah.
your aeroids and stuff. And a lot of people are very competitive now with their platyserums. So I don't know if this is something that the US may pick up at some point. I have a feeling uh,
Mhm.
you guys might pick it up. I don't know,
I think it's
but they
coming.
don't. Yeah, they don't require that much humidity as most
Mhm.
people say, and they're surprisingly easy once you understand. You're right. You do have to bring them down to water them, but once the care is down, right, a lot of them are actually quite easy to care
Mhm.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really beautiful. And I do think they're like big stalks and are really beautiful, and like the spores on the back, they're really cool plants, definitely. Any
Yeah.
other planty trends that you can think of?
We're seeing a lot of interesting philodendron hybrids and the variegated hybrids. Although, when I go to the shows and I see them being displayed, and people are a little bit hesitant to buy them, maybe
Mhm.
because they're coming into the market and they're priced very high as a new product, and people tend to think that philodendrons don't hold their values well, but I am seeing some really interesting, beautiful varieties of philodendron, but it may take a bit of time until people feel confident to buy them. When the price has maybe stabilized a bit. Now everyone's like, who's going to be the first fool to buy that plant for $100,000 and have it be like have it fall, plummet in price, stock goes up.
Of course, of
But I
course.
think it may. I mean, there's a chance that these beautiful philodendrons will hit the market, and we can all access because they're truly beautiful. And as a philodendron, they're easy to care
Yeah,
for. Yeah.
absolutely. Do you have any wish list plants that are kind of like you're waiting for the price to drop a little bit?
The there's many names for it, but some people say it's the variegated pink princess. Some people say I forgot the other names, but it's basically the pink princess that has
Uh-huh.
orange speckles on them. So it is a tricolor. It is the most beautiful thing ever. It's gorgeous. I've
Wow.
only seen a few of them. I don't know if anyone in the app has seen them, are being traded
Think
around.
not. But where do you have any photos of it on your Instagram, on your YouTube that we can
It
see?
is on my last Thailand video. My
Okay,
scroll
on your
down.
Thailand video.
It's
Everyone go check out the tricolor pink princess.
yeah.
Absolutely. What is a plant that maybe I'm just curious myself? What is a plant that you've had for maybe your longest time? Like one of your first plants, or you still have today, like your
It
oldest plant.
would be the first monster. I call her Celia.
Oh, you still have
Like I
it.
still have it. I propagate it, and it's turned into like maybe hundreds of plants. But I give away to my neighbors and my friends and family. But I have the one of the main plant is still here.
Very
Yeah,
nice, very nice. Is it how many propagations do you have? Is it on a moss pole? Where does it live?
it's in the front yard. It's
Oh, it's outside.
it's outside. Yeah, it's grown. I mean, I did do a shorts where I just hacked it up to like maybe like 15 pieces, and all of them took. And there's like a ridiculous like after video with like all these baby monsteras. That's Celia.
Wow. Do you have any propagation tips that you can share really quickly? Because some of them I know people have trouble with rot or like just
Oh,
any struggle.
I have a lot of. Oh, you really do have to check out my channel because I
Yeah,
have so many
absolutely.
propagation videos, and I have
Mhm.
like propagations of specific species where
Mhm.
I show you the different ways to propagate it. I do like soil, water, and some like moss, and then I give you an update within the same video of like 3 months,
Wow.
a year later, so
Mhm.
you can see what worked, what didn't work. So
Yeah.
I have those species specific videos, but
Mhm.
if I want to narrow down like the propagation tip, I would say the first mistake people make is that they don't give their propagations light. Propagations, when you have a leaf cutting, they are still actively photosynthesizing. You can't put them in a bathroom and wait for roots because it will
Right.
rot. Yeah, and for newbies, water. Just go with water propagation.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
I have
tip.
a video. Yeah, I have a video on water propagation on the different factors on that how to maximize success. Just put in like only plants water propagation in the YouTube search bar, and you should see that. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, do you ever have any fails while propagating?
all the time, of course. I mean, the failures reduce a lot over time. Like as I make a lot of mistakes, I've propagated thousands, maybe tens of thousands. I love propagation. I have a lot going on at any time. So, sometimes I learn, what went wrong with certain plants. The more you propagate, the better you get at it. So in the beginning, I would lose maybe 70% of my propagations. Now I lose maybe 10, 20%.
That's a huge improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I've seen nurseries. Obviously, I visited a lot of growers where they have such huge success rate, and it just takes time and experience.
Right. I mean, it's literally more free plants from your own collection.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just recently started propagating begonias really well because I got really into and they're really easy to I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I think they're probably going to be a really huge probably a species of like, I don't really know which exact species, but like there's so many, and I think they're going to be really big in the US. I've seen them grow in popularity, some really awesome variegated ones that are pink and pretty and polka dots and whatnot.
If I'm not wrong, some of the best cultivars are from the US. You guys have a lot of begonia cultivars over there.
Oh, interesting. Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we have some audience questions we're going to get into. So if you didn't already know, on our Instagram, we asked people to comment questions below, and they will, if they're here and watching and they had really good questions, they'll get a $100 credit. So if you guys don't already, go follow the Palmstreet app on Instagram. We will do more events like these, and definitely follow Sean. It's at, you want to say your handle?
Oh, it's difficult. It's at bot.an.isc, botanist, but we separate with some dots in the middle. So.
Perfect. You'll see Sean's picture right on our Instagram, so you can go to his profile from there and follow. Definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. So we have some questions here from our audience on Instagram. And let's see. If you're here and afterwards, just message our Palmstreet support, and they will make sure to give you your $100 credit to spend in the app. And definitely let us know what plants you buy with these $100, because the options are endless. So, okay. So Katie Molly on Instagram asked us, if you could cross any two plants, what would they be? And what do you think they could possibly look like?
Any two plants. Oh, I would definitely go. One of them would have to be a begonia, because they're so showy and they're so interesting, and I love this like crazy. Why, if you can mix any two things, go to town, right? Just go all the way. So a begonia for sure, and maybe mix that with maybe an anthurium. Since I'm looking at one right now, for example, like this would be a really like the king of spades. Imagine like some begonia dots maybe on it.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, and maybe like pink back and begonia dots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my answer, I guess. Yeah.
That would be incredible. Yeah, I think the Immaculata begonia, Immaculata is probably one of the first begonias people kind of like really are like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Oh yeah.
For sure, yeah. What is your favorite begonia, and then what your favorite anthurium is?
My favorite begonia? Ooh. I would say maybe the begonia, do I have it here? The begonia.
That's an interesting name. Begonia, do I have it here?
Look up Begonia Manaus. Is it Manaus or Manaus? I don't know if the S is silent. Manaus is like I think a region in Brazil. So this begonia has like interesting iridescent of like like greens, reds, slightly, and it's hard to describe what it is. But the reason that I like it is because they're so easy, they're so fast growing, and they're so interesting. When people see it, they're like, that looks like a difficult plant, that looks like a rare plant. Yeah. But in fact, it's quite easy to care for.
Is it an angel wing begonia?
It is kind of like, no, it looks more like a cane type begonia. Sorry, like a Rex type begonia, but it is a cane.
Yeah. Very neat. Very neat.
Yeah.
And your favorite anthurium?
My favorite anthurium, there's so many, my gosh.
There are so many.
But I would say maybe this, I just have it in, by the way, I have this on my table. This is my propagation table. I have this sitting here because it needs like repotting tomorrow morning. So look at all these amazing roots. But this probably the anthurium king of spades. One, I visited this plant many times in its place of birth here in Indonesia. It's in Bogor. It's in the mountains. So there's an original hybrid from Indonesia that actually became very popular, and now we're seeing a lot of people hybridize this as a mother plant too. So this is quite nice, and it's got this heart shape. I'm a sucker for heart shaped leaf plants. Like I have like Philodendrons. I have like a lot of them like the place because they're so dramatic when you have a heart.
They're so dramatic, absolutely.
So yeah, I would say that one is one of my favorites. Yeah,
it's a good
and it's
one.
probably very accessible now, right? It used to be very difficult to find, and now most people who want one can get one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, plenty of our sellers here on Palmstreet have the King of Spades, and it's a magnificent plant, an absolute necessity for a collection. Right. Definitely. Okay, so Planty Quill on Instagram said, we all watch your YouTube videos and we all go at all the pretty plants in Asia, but when we import them, we kind of struggle sometimes to acclimate them. So she wanted to know, can you provide any tips on acclimating newly acquired aroids or just any newly acquired plants to their growing conditions?
Okay, first thing first, I would say when we open the box, because the plant has probably in the mail for 3, 5, or 7 days, so the plant is getting like no light the whole time. So when we introduce them to light, we want to introduce them slowly where possible, because it's like if you're in the beach and someone yanked out your sunglasses and made you look at the sun, that's very painful. That's very stressful. So I would say number one, when you acclimatize the plant, don't put it immediately to your bright indirect light shelf with the other plant. You might want to keep it at distance. Another tip would be to check the roots, because one thing we want is one thing for sure is that they have a lot of root loss during transport, or maybe before when the shipper has had to process the plant. Some of the roots have to be cut off. So the root health is important. And one way for plants, especially aroids, to put out new roots is humidity. So you need to probably give it a tent. And assuming when you ship the plant, it's getting pretty high humidity in the box as well. So it might be a good idea to tent the plant in some kind of a baggy situation, or if you have a plastic bin, leave it in there, and that's when the roots can kind of extract the humidity from the air. Because one more thing, when we repot the plants, of course we were talking about mostly bare root plants or plants that are not really taken to the new media that it's in. It needs like a few days for a plant's roots to adhere to the media. So the best way is again to keep it high humidity, so the roots can again extract the humidity, and that's one way to ensure the plant will survive. And one other thing that I'm not so good at is like a lot of people swear by different products to hormones and stress reducers and all that. I'm not gonna go there because I'm not familiar with those. I don't really think you need those, but listen to people you trust. Some products might actually work and help the plant along.
Very good tips. Very good tips. So basically, don't throw your plant out in the direct sunlight the minute you get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like the plant's been coffined in its box, and then you're like, okay, sun. Definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
Got it. Great tips. Great tips. Someone said here, same great tips for domestic shipping. So definitely, no matter where the plant is going, it's going in a box. So that box, same care tips for when you get that box.
Yeah.
Very good tips. Very good tips. And especially when you're getting plants from international, they're going to be traveling for a much longer period than maybe 2 to 3 days here in the U.S. that we get them shipped. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Zane Zimmer on Instagram said, what would you consider to be your favorite botanical garden that you've visited in your life so far, and why?
It would have to be my latest episode. Like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I visited a botanical garden in China. One of the reasons why I love it is because I've never heard of it before I visited. I've been to quite a few, just to name a few good ones, like Kirstenbosch in Cape Town. That's a really good botanical garden. I wish I visited the New York ones. I used to live in New York, by the way, but I was not a plant lover back then, so I can't say I've been to a lot of the botanical gardens. Kew Gardens I would love to visit, but this one was completely unknown. It's called Chenshan Botanical Garden in Shanghai. It blew me away. It was huge. It was run by a passionate team of young people that really love plants, and they have these domes that looks like Singapore's Garden by the Bay. The Singapore stones were a bit smaller and they tend to be more for tourists, while the Shanghai one, it's really for an educational and a conservation point of view. So it was beautifully landscaped, well put together. It wasn't rowdy and loud with a lot of tourists. It was just a nice stroll through the garden and to learn and to discover new. Check out that episode if you are interested to check it out.
Definitely check out his episode. You can kind of get a feel for what Botanical Garden and what his experience was. And I definitely agree. Botanical gardens that have less people, there you get that like more tranquil feel, like what you're supposed to feel when you're around the plants. Absolutely, yeah. Really, people really love to see your YouTube channel. So someone said, "Good to see you here, Sean." And Chen said that he agrees the Botanical Garden is stunning. So when are you visiting any botanical gardens soon again, that like maybe what's a one on your list that you want to go that maybe you want to see?
Definitely Kew Gardens for sure. Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm a big advocate for conservation, and I know Kew Gardens does a lot of research and conservation. And I did visit a. It's not a botanical garden, but I did an episode in Taiwan. It is a Noah's Ark for plants, so it is coming from an angle that they want to take one of every. They don't take hybrids, but they want to take one of every species, and they freeze them and keep some of the cells, and then they keep the live version as well. And it's not beautiful by any means, but it is an important cause. And I have the episode there, and it's not one of my most watched episodes. I wish more people were into it more, but
well, we'll tell them now. Go watch it. Yeah, absolutely. Are you any travel plans soon that you're going to be sharing on your YouTube channel?
I'm going to Bangkok next month around this date. Again, there's a really big plant show happening, so you guys will probably see videos on the latest plant trends.
Yeah.
So Bangkok would be my next travel plans. Again, I know I go to Thailand quite a lot, but it really is the Disneyland for plants. You know, there's some markets that I go to, even for common plants.
Yeah.
They have some really interesting varieties there.
That's really awesome to hear and see. Do you usually leave empty-handed, or do you take some plants, or does it depend?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I used to smuggle some plants, bare root, like Orchideas. They don't need medium to grow. I used to bring them back. But these days, I don't know. I feel like my garden is so full. Here's the way I think about it now. Now, if I bring a new plant home, someone here has to die, because that's just how packed it is in this garden. Like, do I want to bring more home? So I'm becoming a little bit more aware of this. But nowadays, when I visit nurseries and stuff, if people put a plant in my hand and say, "Here, take this," I usually will take them, and usually those are plants that I cherish because it's got someone's name on them. So yeah, for those of you who have ever gifted me plants, thank you.
Very nice. Yeah. It's really fun to like prop and gift plants. It's a really awesome.
Yeah, I love giving plants. That's why usually when people give it to me, I'm like, no, thank you, but But secretly, it's nice to give and receive, because it's got someone's name on it. It's like, oh, this person's plant lives now in my collection, and
So you're more of a giver. You do love.
I'm more of a giver.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Do you ever give off like some really rare plants, or are those like just for you?
I actually, I don't encourage this, but actually some people have DM'd me, and they're within Indonesia, because I cannot ship overseas, obviously. They've watched me propagate like a plant or two, and they saw like I have extras, and they say, "Oh, I really wanted that plant." Usually I'm just like, "Send me your address." I've done that, but I don't encourage it. But I've done it, and I know that it's gonna bring a smile to their face, and it's so nice to do that.
Right. Yeah. I've given plants before to people who aren't into plants, and it's really an interesting reaction. They're like, "What do I do with this?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just a cutting. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out." Yeah. Okay, Sean, we had a really great time getting to know you. Again, people of Palmstreet really love that you came out here and talked to us and spent your 11 p.m. It's almost midnight. It's time for bed for you and your plants.
Yeah. Well, they're all awake now because we have all these light on.
Right.
they're watching you guys as well. They're reading.
Yeah, they're alive. Yeah, absolutely. People want to see you again on Palm Street, so we definitely hope to
Yep.
have you back in the future, and we would love to see some of your tours. Absolutely.
Yep.
People were saying, always a pleasure to hear from you again.
Thank you.
We want to encourage everybody to go follow him on Instagram and go watch his YouTube channel. His videos are awesome, absolutely awesome, high quality, absolutely great content. So definitely, and follow him on here on Palm Street as well, so he can grow his following as well everywhere that's plant related.
Yeah.
Any last things you want to tell us? Anything to end the incredible live that we've had?
Well, I'm new to the app, so I've only checked out the app for like the last week or so. I'm very, very interested in what's happening. Obviously, this is new for me to have like a plant-centric lifestyle app. So I'll keep an eye. You guys don't know how lucky you are to have this. Because some of us, I mean, I know some lifestylers use Instagram and all that, but they don't have the same features that you guys have. You know, the same safety features, the same convenience of like end-to-end shipping and payment and all that. So you guys are quite lucky, I would say. And stay tuned for more.
Yeah, stay tuned. Thank you so much, Sean. And again, we really enjoyed having you here at Palm Street, and we hope to see you in the future. And we're looking forward to your future videos on YouTube.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you. There's a little button up here that will help you end the.
Which one? Oh, yes, I see the button.